So we're on 81B towards the bottom. Um, let's see. Okay. Bilvala Mashka and Shomer Saka. The Mishnah said if you lend against collateral, then you're considered a Shomer Sachar in terms of your responsibility for that object. Right? Land must do some work for Rebbe Lazar. Maybe you can say that the Mishnah is not in accordance with Rebbe Lazar. What is Rebbe Lazar say? Tanya. You lend someone money against collateral, and you lost it. So you make a shua that you're not that it wasn't negligent on your part. Then and then then you're not responsible for the match. When you're off the hook for that, you can collect the loan. So that's what Rebbe Lazar said. So right here you can see that's against our Mishnah, right? Our Mishnah says your Shomer Sachar is liable, would be liable in such a case, and Rebbe Lazar says you're not but let's just continue this, right? So Rabbi Akiva argues with Rabbi Lazar. He can say, listen, the collateral was security for the loan. Avana Mashkan of the Mosacha. You lost the collateral, so that's instead of the loan. That's the payment, right? In other words, you're responsible for you, the lender who's holding the security, the collateral. You're responsible. But what if there is a contract, right? It's not there's no collateral, but the loan was made with a contract. And there was collateral. So then definitely we say the collateral must have been as security for the loan, right? Because there's two possibilities we're considering here. One is that the collateral is security against the loan. So if the guy never pays back, so you keep the object as compensation for the loan, right, or as payback for the loan. The other possibility is it's just an indicator, just kind of a proof that the loan took place, right? As long as I'm holding your object, I have something tangible that says I lent you money, you have to pay me back, okay? But if the loan was with a contract, then there's no need for collateral for security to prove that the loan took place. You have the contract for that. If besides the contract there was also collateral, it must be that that collateral is intended as debt repayment in case the debt is not repaid. That is to be debt repayment. So in that case, if there's a contract on the loan, even though the accuser would say if you lose the security was the payment for the loan. So if you can't return it, then you've lost that object, then you have used up the debt that's owed to you. Does that make sense? I'm tripping over my words here, but I think it's clear, right? So anyway, but the point of the Gemara here is our Mishnah siding with Rebbe Lazar, right? So Gemara says, no, I feel the same Rebbe Lazar, more kasha. You could say the Mishnah is according, Rebbe Lazar agrees with our Mishnah. So how do you explain it? Depends when the collateral was handed over. Right? If the collateral is handed over at the time of the loan, then you can consider it an indication, as we said before, for example, an indication of that there is a loan. But if later on the loan takes place, and later on you kind of ask for collateral, what are you doing that for? Not to prove there's a loan. Clearly, you're worried about getting your money back. So you're saying, let me have collateral so that I know that I'm going to get my money back. So versus wait a minute, both of these cases use the same language. So are you splitting hairs and saying that this one is when the collateral was handed over at the time of the loan, and this one when it was later on after the loan took place? It's the same phrase is being used, which doesn't usually bother the Gemara. Sometimes the Gemara will take the same phrase and attribute it to different cases, but here it's not going that way. Because you can make another distinction. Excuse me. The distinction is whether you're lending cash or produce, right? What's the difference? Because produce doesn't last forever, right? It's going to spoil. Um, so, um, so uh, when I pay you back, if you borrow my strawberries, and next week I pay you back with fresh strawberries, so that's good for me. I'm profiting from that. I'm benefiting from that because now I got fresh strawberries. Last week's strawberries are only good to put in the blender, right? But these week's strawberries I could put out on the table. Um, so that is considered my payments for as a shomer sock. So that's why. So in that case, so in other words, if it's cash, which doesn't spoil, right? It doesn't matter if today's cash or next week's cash. I know. Let's leave interest aside. But if it's cash, then I'm not profiting from holding your cash, from holding this or getting paid back later. And a if it's produce, then the benefit I get from receiving fresh strawberries next week, instead of my old strawberries, is considered safar, considered rent, or not rent, but payment, and therefore we consider it like a shomer safar in that case. So Gemara's not happy with that either. Okay. I mean, the kind of safe, but what about the end of our mission? Well, the end of our mission says, "Where you know, Hillel most shomer kina, Hillel peros shomer safar." Our mission itself makes that distinction, right? Or Rabbi Yehuda makes that distinction. Tanakama lo shanile. So if Rabbi Yehuda is advancing a separate opinion from the Tanakama, right? And he's saying, you know what? Guess what, Tanakama? What you're saying only makes sense if it's cash, but not if it's produce. So it must be that the Tanakama didn't hold that way. It doesn't distinguish between produce and cash. The answer is cool. No, you can say I can fix that by rereading the Mishnah. The whole Mishnah is really said by Rabbi Yehuda. So how do you read it? It's missing some words. This is how you have to read it. Um, if I if I lend with collateral, then shomer saka. When is that Shavuot Paris? If you lend produce, I'm also about Mars, but cash, shomer pinam. Instead, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, because or as Rabbi Yehuda says, with all those, shomer pinam lo Paris shomer saka. Okay, so in other words, we're now reading the whole Mishnah, not as a dispute between the Tanakhama and Rabbi Yehuda, but the whole Mishnah is supported by Rabbi Yehuda, and there is a distinction between Shomer Pinam and Shomer Safar. And that's how Rabbi Lazar can agree with this Mishnah because in the case where it's in the case of cash, Rabbi Lazar agrees that it's Shomer Pinam. When it says, wait a minute, Yachai, come on, this is go off Rabbi Akiva. Okay, so now you have a problem. Rabbi Lazar is okay with the Mishnah. Now Rabbi Akiva is not okay with the Mishnah. What's wrong with that? That's worse because we have a principle that Stam Mishnah Rabbi Meir, that the anonymous voice in the Mishnah is always Rabbi Meir. And Rabbi Meir was a student of Rabbi Akiva and almost always rules like Rabbi Akiva, right? So here we have a Stam Mishnah, even though we're supporting it with Rabbi Yehuda, it's still a Stam Mishnah. And the Stam Mishnah, which you would expect to be Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Akiva, is like Rabbi Lazar, not like Rabbi Akiva. So it's El Machmartek message book Rabbi Lazar. It's better not to reread the Mishnah, right? To establish the anonymous voice in the Mishnah, the Tanakama as Rabbi Akiva's view. And Rabbi Lazar is on the outside. Indeed, we agree that Rabbi Lazar does not agree with this mission. Okay. Now, so what is the argument between Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Lazar? Maybe what they're arguing about, the principle is if the collateral is
only symbolic in the sense that it's not the equal value to the loan, right? It's only a token collateral. And they are involved in the same machlokas as the shmuel. They are shmuel. Or they're arguing about whether to accept shmuel, I should say. Shmuel say, somebody lent $1,000 to his friend. And as security, he took the handle of the sickle, right? So something that doesn't cost very much. Of you lose that, you lose the $1,000. So Shmuel clearly is saying that the collateral is a stand-in for the loan, right? You lose the collateral. We're valuating that at the same price as the loan. So if you're responsible for the loss, then you forego repayment of the loan. Now, even lo shavim mashkin shoes is a you have a lace in Yeshua. Um, so the Lord says not necessarily, because if if the collateral is not worth the amount of the loan, nobody agrees with it. Nobody would say that you lost the handle of the sky if you lose your $1,000. That's ridiculous. What Shmuel was talking about is when you have a valuable collateral, when the collateral is the same value as the loan. Um, and the disagreement is about what Rabbi Yitzchak said. Rabbi Yitzchak, how do you know that the lender actually acquires the collateral? So when the Torah describes, how you have to treat the collateral, right? If you take collateral of someone's nightgown, right, and then come nighttime, you have to return it to them, right? And the Torah says so he can use it because he has nothing else to sleep in, right? And the Torah says, and this will be a righteous act on your part, right? So, if it's not that, like technically you could have kept the nightgown, right? So it's not going to be done. So if not for the fact that you could have kept it, it wouldn't be a righteous act. In other words, if it really belongs to the borrower and he really has a right to claim it, so I say, well, it's not that will be considered righteous. It's not righteousness. That's just, that's following the law. The fact that the Torah says will be considered righteous means that really the lender acquired the object. Be a nice guy, we'll give you credit, give it back to him so he can sleep in it. So that proves that the lender acquires the collateral. The Tizbra, now think about it. So Gemara says, no, wait a minute. Maybe what Rabbi Yitzchak is talking about is when the collateral is given later on, right? Like we mentioned before, the possibility of a collateral that's given after the loan is made. So if the collateral is given um, at the time the loan is made, then there's no kinyan because that's that's a different situation. That's a collateral situation. It's different than when later on you can say, you know what, I need some collateral for my loan. Then you're it's not just to signify that the loan exists. Not just to signify that the loan exists. It's to actually, in a sense, repay the loan on a stand-in basis until the money is returned. Everybody agrees that if you take the collateral later on, then that is considered a kinyan, right? That you actually acquire it because it's clearly for the purpose of securing the loan in case it's not repaid. So what is the dispute in our case? When you're giving the collateral at the time of the loan, we are disputing whether, Rabbi Akiva disputing whether, one second, the rules about a shomer aveda. What happens if you find an object, and you're looking after it, right, for an unknown person, for the person who lost it, and something happens to it, right? What's the deal? Are you a shomer chidna or a shomer sacha? In other words, do you have liability? What's your extent of liability for it? So you think it's shomer chinam, right? Because you're not getting paid. You don't even know who it is or if they posted the reward, right? So it should be a shomer chinam. But Rabba Amar kishomer chinam. Yosef Amar kishomer sacha. Yosef says no. You're being paid. How are you being paid? So we're going to discuss this.
now we're going to come to this later, but Rabbi Yosef's idea is that you are getting a benefit by looking after this thing. What's your benefit? Because if the opportunity for another mitzvah that would cost you money comes along, like poor person knocks at your door looking for tzedakah, but you're busy in the barn looking after the cow of this lost cow, right? So we say osik b'mitzvah pater, but you are already doing the mitzvah of looking after the yaveda, so you don't have to answer the door, right? You don't have to give so you've just saved yourself some money, right? You would have given $20 to the guy who knocked at your door, and now you didn't have to because you were looking after the cow. Okay, so that benefit is, or potential benefit maybe, is considered enough to make you a shomer sachar and increase your responsibility for the abbey. Lema Rav Yosef Tanai. Now let's say maybe what Rav Yosef said is Machlokes Tanai. In other words, yeah, that this is Rabbi Lazar and Rabbi Akiva, right? So one would say, yeah, maybe do we consider this like a shomer aveda? Do we consider the guy who's holding the collateral like a shomer aveda? Of course, it's lot. The shomer aveda, the Yama Yisrael Rabbi Yosef. Everybody agrees about shomer aveda that Rabbi Yosef is correct that you're shomer sachar. V'hacha b'milva tzarich l'mashkan k'mifnei. Here, the dispute is whether is about in the case of a lender who uses the collateral, right? He takes the collateral and he needs it, right? Like let's say it's some kind of a tool, and he's using it. It's a screwdriver, right? And he needs a screwdriver. So if he's using it, then he has more responsibility according to according. No. So according to Rabbi Akiva. Marsavar mitzvah ka'avei shalvav. Once Rabbi Akiva would say that, look, he's doing a mitzvah because you lent him money, right? So you're osek min mitzvah. So osek min mitzvah, and so it's a little unclear, how that would conflict with doing some other mitzvah. But I'm sure we can construct the case. So the benefit of being osek min mitzvah, lending him the money, is considered sachar. But Rabbi Lazar, the other one, the Marsav Rabbi Lazar said, "No, mitzvah kavod shel lahana also in this kavod." No, you're not. It's not. We're not going to say that you're being compensated by having the tool in your possession while it's a security, while it's collateral, because you're using it, right? Like the whole reason you lent the money. You're not such an altruistic person. You're not lending money because you want to do it right. You're lending money because you wanted the screwdriver. You wanted to hold the screwdriver, right? It's like the joke about the guy who walks into the bank and he says, I want to borrow $1,000. And the banker says, I'll need collateral. He says, well, my Ferrari's parked outside. And he says, you're going to use your Ferrari for $1,000 loan. He says, yeah, come back in 2 weeks. What's it going to cost me? For 2 weeks, $20 interest on the $1,000 for 2 weeks. Okay, here are the keys to the Ferrari. Comes back 2 weeks later, gives back the $1,000, less than $20, and asks for the keys. And the banker says to him, can you explain to me, if you have a Ferrari, what did you need to borrow $1,000 for? He says, well, the cheapest parking I could find while I was out of town, $20. Okay. Okay, so now we're done with that. So now back to the Mishnah. Abba Shalom. Mutar l'adam lihaskir mashkano shel ani lios poches v'ho. You're allowed to rent out, to take the collateral and rent it out, and keep the keep the proceeds and use those proceeds to pay down the loan without the guy's permission, right? In other words, this is the borrower's item. You're holding it as collateral. You don't have to consult him. You can go ahead and rent it out
in order and use the proceeds to pay down the loan. Amar Fanan Bar Ami Amar Shmuel Halacha Kabashol. Yeah, we rule that way. The Abashol Amar, but not Abashol only said that Al Mara Upasa Ricardo with certain kinds of tools, hoe, a chisel, and an axe. Did not be a hoe did not be shagrao because you can get a good rental price for it, but and there's no depreciation or very little depreciation. So if that's the case, like if it's the case that you wouldn't get much money from renting it out, or that the tool would significantly depreciate, then you would need the borrower's authorization to do this deal. But in the case of these tools where you get a lot of money from renting them out and there's very little depreciation, you can go ahead and do it. Okay, next mission. Um, you're you're watching an object for someone, a barrel or something, a barrel of wine, and you're moving it from place to place. Ushavar, and it broke. Whether you're a shamachinam or a shamasachar, you take a shvua that you weren't negligent, then you're potter. Rabbi Elazar Omer, Zev Yishava. Rabbi Elazar says, yes, that's the rule. That's what I heard also, that either shamachinam or a shamasachar both can swear and get off the hook. The Tamiani, but I don't understand, right? Presumably, what he's saying is, I understand the Shomer Pinam can take the Shmuah because he has less liability, but the Shomer Sachar has greater liability. So he should be liable for whatever happened to it while he was moving it. Let's see what the Gemara does with this. Same as our Mishnah, and it's attributed to Rabbi Meir. Sorry, yeah, Rabbi Huda Omer Shomer Chinam Yishava Nosef Sachar Yishalim. Rabbi Huda makes a distinction. Shomer Chinam can get off with the Shuvah. Shomer Sachar, he can't. He's liable. So against that mission. Rabbi Elazar Omer Zevzei Yishava. To me, I need calling Zevzei Yishava. So Rabbi Elazar says, I don't understand why there's no distinction. The Maimer, the suburb of Meir, Niskal Lav Posheahu. So are we saying that maybe Rabbi Meir is saying, you know why they have the same level of liability? Because it's not negligence, right? If it's completely ruled to be accidental, if it's not, if there's no then there's no liability for the Shomer Sachar either. Is that what Rabbi Meir is saying about time? But wait a minute, we have a brace against that. Nishbra Kado Blo Silka, not one Gemala Blo Hamida. If you have a case where you're guarding something and it broke and you didn't clear it away and injured someone, or someone's camel, the camel fell and you didn't stand up. But Meir says you are liable for what happened there. And the other Chachamim say you're not liable for it, but you're morally culpable. The kind of one that is called and what does it have to do with us? Because we already established that case as when the guy who's moving it was negligent, right? So it is. So we've established that case is like our Mishnah. It's the same case as our Mishnah, right? And Rabbi Meir says there specifically that the guy who that if you tripped and it broke, then you're considered negligent. So how can you say here the other way around? Tibra Mishashana Lo Shashana. You have to, you know what's broken here? Not just the picture, the mission is broken, right? You have to break this mission because it must be two opinions. In other words, Rabbi probably, I think what it means is Rabbi Meir is being misreported in one case. Okay, so these are both said in the name of Rabbi Meir. Excuse me. As these two reports are contradictory, one of them must be incorrect. So Rabbi Yehuda Meimar, and so Rabbi Yehuda comes along to say, Shomer Chinam Yishava Nosasachar Yishalim. Haiki Dine v'Haiki Dine. And Rabbi Yehuda comes along and say, no, you consider one like, the Shomer. You have to determine if it's a Shomer Chinam or a Shomer Sachar, right? Like, what is the case? Yes, Rabbi Elazar Meimar. in Gemara to Rabbi Meir, and Rabbi Lazar is saying that yes, our tradition is like Rabbi Meir. But I don't understand how both of them can take a shul. So Bishlam Shamachinam Mishtaba Pasha. So I understand why the Shamachinam doesn't take a shua because there's no negligence here, so he has to take a shua. Why does the Shomasachar have to make a shua? If he didn't, so when is he going to take a shua? He didn't. He wasn't Toshev. He wasn't negligent. He's still responsible. What does the shua do for you? Nothing was Shomer Chinam. And come to think of it, even the Shomer Chinam, not me. Hatina Midra. What are we talking about? What's the situation? Is it is it a bumpy area, right? And this is on a slope, right? Is it a place where it's a little more risky, right? So I understand if there was a slope, so maybe that's accidental. But what if it's a flat, flat path? Everything it's a flat, clear flat path, and there's no reason to think that the guy who's carrying the barrel has to accept more responsibility because if he tripped over his own feet, it's his fault, right? It's not because he tripped over a stone or there was a bump in the road. So he can't say that he wasn't negligent. He was negligent if it was a flat thing. But and even in a flat place, what if, I understand there was nobody there who saw what happened. But when there are people who saw, there were witnesses, makes a riot. What do you need a shua for? We don't like people to take shuas. So, have them bring a witness that will tell you that whether it was accidental or not, or negligent. The Tanya, Isi ben Yehuda as we have a place, Isi ben Yehuda says, Ein roa shuas, Ein roa, if the case where there's nobody, no witnesses, shuas Hashem kiyavein shneim, then that's when you have a shua. Hayesh roa, but if there are witnesses, you have the right. Then you don't take a shua, you bring witness. Okay, so where does that leave us? Lost the thread here a little bit. Oh, okay. So yeah, so that's how we can reread the Mishnah to say that no, the Gemara doesn't like this reread of the Mishnah, right? So we're back to our original thing, and we're still stuck with Rabbi Lazar can't agree with our Mishnah. Last thing for today, Rabbi Shia bar Abba, Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Chia answers the apparent contradiction by saying, you know what? We're not talking about a regular shua. We're not talking about whether technically he should be responsible for a shua. In this case, the Chachamim said, you know what? Even if you don't need a shua, here you should take a shua. Because if not, then nobody will ever accept the responsibility to move a barrel for somebody else, right? Because if you're going to be on the hook, no matter what happens, nobody's going to agree to do it, right? So in order to grease the wheels of commerce and interacting with people and keeping things going, well, the rabbis gave you an out, even though really you're responsible for negligence, but because then nobody would be willing to do this job. So they'll say, okay, we'll let you off the hook if you take a score. Okay, we'll stop here for today and pick it up.
Boy, the transmission was really bad. It's a lot of garbled speech today.
I didn't have a problem.
Well,
Yasha Kok, have a great day.
Okay, you too.
Lift up your head for a moment. When you lift up your head a little bit. You sweating? Are you sweating? Wait. What? Yeah, you got a cold, that's why. Congested. Who's there? Yeah, right there, I couldn't understand the guy. I interpret. Transmissions. Come. Come on, like this. Sorry. I'm gonna help. You're a little bit congested. You have a cold now, don't you? You have a cold? Yeah. I know. You can come over like that. a little bit. Come, please. Gonna help you out. What? Move around here. All right. Lift up your head, please. What? Hello. Say hello. Say hello. Hello. Thank you. No. All right. Want you to turn to your left. Good. Something like that. Okay, good. All right. Come back. Come on. Hello. I know you're tired, but you didn't sleep much. Oh. Sorry. You going to sleep now? You wanna sit up and sleep? Sit up here on the side? Wanna do that? You wanna sleep like this? You wanna sleep like this? You wanna drink something? What? Oh, sorry.
Take the way you need a four, with that shot that way. One.